Okay, so we will go ahead and get started. Thanks everyone for joining. My name is Raj Iqbal. I'm the Chief Data Scientist at Data Science Dojo, and we are going to go over the curriculum for the Large Language Models Bootcamp and also answer any questions that any of you has about the curriculum. And yeah, perhaps it may be a good idea if you can utilize the chat, whether you are on the Zoom call or LinkedIn or Twitter or any of the social media, any of the channels. If just go ahead where you're joining from and anything around. I mean, what kind of use cases you're working on in large language models, or if this is your first introduction. I will go ahead and get started. Uh, my own background, I've been doing this whole thing, broadly speaking, called AI, call it data science, call it analytics, machine learning, predictive modeling for a long, long time now. Back in grad school, and then followed by my work at Microsoft, and then followed by my work at Data Science Dojo. We are one of the oldest players in this space, in the upskilling space. We have been around. Any significant company that matters on the planet globally, someone from more than 3,000, perhaps close to 4,000 companies, people have attended our training globally. Um, 11,000 plus graduates, and I'm not talking about online self-paced learning type graduates. I'm talking about this kind of interaction that we are having either in person on site in classroom or remotely through a Zoom call. Um, so let's get dive right in, right? So one of the fun things is um, a bit of context about the bootcamp. We are a platform. Also, I mean, we have a training side of the our business, but we also have a product side of our business. So over the last 2 years, we have built a large language models platform as well. And while building that platform, we realized that building a platform for large language models or LLM applications or deploying agents, as we call it, the agentic, so-called agentic behavior or agentic frameworks, deploying that it is non-trivial. And what I find actually fascinating is that when you're interviewing people and you talk to someone, and then someone would say, yeah, I mean, so why did it take you like 30 plus engineers and 2 years to build this? I built this in 1 hour, right? So, and the problem is building an LLM chatbot on a single page or maybe a few pages of PDF on your local machine versus building it in a manner that an enterprise with tens of thousands of customers, maybe hundreds of thousands of customers, millions of customers, or perhaps 100 or 1,000 or tens of thousands of employees, it is non-trivial. When you start building those applications, you run into challenges that you did not foresee otherwise. Um, I think everyone knows what hallucinations are, or at least you have heard of it. But um, not getting the right answer, if the answers are not grounded, this is a common problem. And when you talk about this kind of problem, hey, what's the big deal? I mean, it is a big deal because you may be under some kind of regulatory radar if you, or maybe you may be out of compliance legally if your chatbot or your AI assistant does not give a correct answer. Then not all chatbots are going to be, some chat in some kind of assistant. Let's not call them chatbots anymore. Chat is only one of the applications. But now we are moving toward a world where you're moving toward a world where you have agents actually collaborating with each other. Almost think like this idea of that your IT team will become your IT team is going to become your HR team. You're hiring this contingent workforce that uh, you bring in these knowledge workers who are able to you deploy these knowledge workers and really get the knowledge work done. And I see some of you have posted your introduction. Thanks for that. Let me see. We have one from Ecuador and Sami from Toronto. And who else is there? Let me see. I see Rajai. You are my first name and last initial, Raja I, right? So Rajai, you are from Jordan, and then I see Deborah from UK. Welcome to the information session, everyone. So going back to it, when you deploy an application like this, you may have other considerations. Is your data safe or not? Um, why can't I just go and to use ChatGPT because I have some regulatory or legal obligations that I cannot put my customer data in a third-party cloud? Then you're talking about, the cost of operating this. ChatGPT may make us look like that these applications are going to be free, but I don't know how many of us know that ChatGPT loses, millions of dollars, every single day. I mean, close to $1 million a day. I think that's their burn rate. And they lose this much money while serving these models, right? Then you have scaling challenges. You can build this kind of application on a single document, maybe 10 documents, but what about 1 million documents? How are you going to build an application like this when your knowledge base is so huge? Then some of the more recent challenges, does your agent have a longer term memory or your agentic application, does it have longer term memory or not? Does your application, can it reason or not? Can it reason and reflect or not? Can it plan or not? Um, and all of these challenges, they make building and deploying these applications and maintaining these applications incredibly hard. And this is what we teach in this bootcamp. And that's what the bootcamp exists. And it's quite intense. But like most non-trivial endeavors in life, anything that is not trivial, right? So this is going to be a pursuit that will take effort, and we take pride in the fact that it is actually a very intense curriculum. But as long as our learners they know a very basic fundamental working knowledge of a programming language, and they understand in general, they are in the data space. They have done some data related work. I mean, that's all we need, and rest we can take care of during the boot camp. So during the boot camp, we start with the foundations, the whole idea of embeddings and transformers and attention mechanism in detail. So I will show you the curriculum in a bit. I mean, I will show you give you access to the learning platform as well, or not access, but I will show you the learning platform. We take a very deep dive into vector databases. We get into a lot of details of LangChain and agentic workflows. How do you create a graph that can plan and reason and also reflect? Different kind of what we commonly now that's the commonly used or abused word agentic, right? So we talk about agentic workflows. We get into the details of observability and monitoring in a lot of detail. We talk about guardrails. How do you get your company or your enterprise out, keep your company or enterprise out of trouble, right? So you put these guardrails. Don't give medical advice or don't quote a price. Case in point, Air Canada got sued by a customer because the bot actually offered some discount for bereavement fare and court ruled in favor of the customer. So those kind of things, we talk about that. Of course, prompt engineering will be there. Evaluation is the key. If anyone is coming from your classic machine learning background, evaluation is actually the lifeblood of any kind of not just LLM application or Gen AI application, really for any machine learning model, or for that matter, any effort in life, evaluation is the key. I mean, how do you define, how do you evaluate? I mean, think about KPIs, right? So if you do not have a way to measure the correctness or the groundedness of your model and faithfulness and all sorts of metrics, how correct is the answer, how relevant is the answer, and so on. Well, you don't know whether you built a good application or not. And then we talk about deployment and ops and fine tuning and general challenges in building applications like this. I am one of the lead instructors along with a few other people. I think we have the list of instructors somewhere later in the slide deck. And then I spend close to almost my entire day in building these systems. So and the other instructors are like that. That what differentiates us from any other company out there is the people who are teaching you this is who exactly know how these things are used, right? So it's almost like um, you can um, you can learn from someone who has just read a few papers or watched a few YouTube tutorials or attended a few talks, and then you can learn from someone who has actually built these things. And of course, the perspective is going to vary. It is an in-class option. There is an in-class option, and there is also an instructor-led remote option. Both happen at the same time. So you can actually be in Seattle. The in-person session actually happens in Seattle. You can also actually attend it remotely, the same program, 5 days, 40 hours, 8 hours a day. You can be in Seattle. You can attend it remotely. And what we have done is, I will show you in a bit. What we have done is we have created this very comprehensive curriculum and the tools and the way everything is organized. It is set up in a manner that you don't have to worry about installing anything on your computer. We have online notebooks for everything. If you're doing a project, we will give you a virtual machine. Everyone gets their own virtual machine where everything is set up, so you don't have to worry about. You just log in as long as you have a web browser. That's all you need. You don't have to worry about API keys from OpenAI or GPU clusters, etc. It is everything is actually included in your registration fee. And then this is a typical architecture, and it has perhaps I think it is time for us to actually update this a little bit. I mean, this slide is a bit dated, but I will actually do a voiceover and explain things to you. Uh, um, the core of it is, the core of an LLM application is what we call a large language model. And a large language model can be, it can be, uh, it can be hosted somewhere. It can be closed source or it can be open source. Open source, the notably Llama and Mistral and DeepSeek and other models, which are open source models. Then these models can also be closed source. And closed source, most notable one that all of us know are OpenAI GPT series models. Um, and you can use any of them. And then you can also, it could be open source and closed source. It could be in the cloud and or on-prem, right? So so when you have an LLM application, you will have at the core of it this LLM model, large language model. But that's not it. For building these applications, you also need a vector database. What is a vector database? Well, when you have these documents, you take the semantic representation, or for that matter, the lexical representation of these documents, or the document pieces or fragments or shards of these documents. You what we commonly call chunks. You put them uh, in a vector database or your traditional search index, and then basically store it, and you retrieve them when the time comes when you need it. Then you have this thing, what we call an embedding model. What is an embedding model? Embedding models actually um, take your documents or the chunks of documents, as we call them, and then convert them into vectors. And the vector representation of a bunch of text, we call it an embedding. You store these embeddings in a vector database, and then where does this document come from? These come from your data pipelines. Now, in addition to all of this, um, we also need some kind of reasoning on top of it, and not just reasoning. You need to be able to connect to different data sources. You have your data in SharePoint or Dropbox, or it could be an Amazon S3 bucket. You may have some data in, let's say, Zoom info, or some kind of API access. It could be in a SQL server. It could be an Excel sheet. How do you get all of that data and start processing it? When we go to ChatGPT, I mean, once again, it makes it look incredibly easy, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of query processing that happens. You take the query, possibly, convert the query into a different, maybe create versions of queries, and on top of that, maybe hitting the web search and so on. So all of that plumbing, it is non-trivial. There is a lot of work that happens during that plumbing. And then there are tools like LangChain and Llama Index that actually help you. Most notable ones, there's Crew AI, AutoGen is there. There is um, some Microsoft has this thing called semantic kernel. There is a lot of tools in this ecosystem. And we essentially we cover the entire ecosystem in quite a lot of detail. When you talk about logging and monitoring, logging and monitoring and observability, as we call it, right? So can we go and just see how much time it took for convert altering the query, how much time the inference took, how much time reflection took, and all of that. You have to be able to know this, right? But I mean, thanks to open source, I mean, this may sound like overwhelming, but the fact of the matter is, if you understand all of this, you don't have to build these things from scratch. I see, Amit, you have a question. There is a lot of components and interactions within this architecture. This is quite a large tech stack. Can you please share the prerequisites that will make us get the most out when doing the bootcamp? So, Amit, yes, I mean, um, you would actually be surprised. I don't know what your background is, Amit. If you want to type in, that would be helpful. But if you have written code in the past, and if you're in general, um, if you're in general um, familiar with the problems that you want to solve in this space, I'm very confident, right? So I'm very confident that you should be able to actually finish this, because we are not going to teach you how to build these tools from scratch. We will teach you. It's almost like we are not going to teach you how to build things bare bones. Writing the first line of observability code will tell you what is the best open source tool, or what are the best open source tools that you should get for um, for implementing observability. We partner with Arise, and I will show you later. We partner with Arise. Arise is the in observability. Arise is the top framework for observability. Then when we talk about validation, we talk about Ragus. Once again, undisputed the best player in that space. When we talk about LangChain, LangChain is a partner for this bootcamp. We cover LangChain extensively. When we talk about vector database, we use VB8, which is once again the leading vector database in the space. OpenAI, we use OpenAI embeddings, even though we touch upon Llama as well in one of the exercises that I will show you. So we touch upon each of these So we are not going to drill down and teach you every single thing in every block. We'll teach you one thing, give you a high level idea how things work, and then and you will be able to take it from there. So Amit, your background is in applied robotics and AI. I would be shocked. I would. I mean, you should be able to. I mean, I'm not even questioning this because we have had, and I will show you once I show you the learning platform, you will actually see why I'm so convinced. Manojit, your question is which cloud platform is used by you during the bootcamp? A bunch. For our fine tuning exercise, we use RunPod and we deploy things in the cloud. I think I can switch. So this is our large language models bootcamp, and these are all the modules. I can get into um, maybe I can get. I cannot really, given the time that we have, I don't think I can go through every single topic here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here and there, and I will show you, and happy to, if you want to double click on any of them, I'm happy to show you in detail. But so this is our module on attention mechanism and transformer architecture. I can show you, for instance, you can see that each module is going to have the same format. I will have the theory, followed by practical exercises, and followed by resources. And if you look at this, this session is taught by Luis Serrano. Some of you may already know him. It's so you know. I would say he's one of the best educators out there when it comes to anything related to machine learning, and especially I personally enjoy his session every single time. He talks about, building that momentum, even if you don't know anything about Gen AI, even if you don't know anything about neural networks, he's going to actually get started. I mean, talk about, the entire thing and slowly build that momentum and start talking about the attention mechanism, multi-headed attention, multi-headed attention, and, all of that. So, and then the beauty of this is that we talk about the intuition side of it as much as we talk about the math side of it. So intuition is actually very important because not all of us understand the complex math behind all that is happening. We talk about the intuition a lot and, of course, explain the math. Then once you know how embeddings are created and we have done the practical exercise, we'll go to vector databases. And now, once again, when we go inside vector databases, this is so I can tell you, right? So let me go back. So on day one, we spent time on understanding the overall idea of large language models, the end-to-end architecture. What is RAG, what is fine-tuning, what is pre-training, why token limit, what is context window. Did I say fine-tuning? Maybe I think I did mention fine-tuning. What is a vector database? What are embeddings, what are the risks and challenges, and so on. Then we also, on the first day, we talk about the transformers and attention mechanism because that is the core of how LLMs work. On the second day, and we did do a little bit of prompt engineering. On the second day, we get into vector databases. And when we get into vector databases, we are not just there, hey, there's something called a vector database and let's go use it. We spend good 2.5 hours on the theory side of it. We start with a layperson understanding. Okay, so traditional relational database. Maybe a graph database. Maybe know a time series database. We talk about all of that, and then we draw that parallel. Okay, so how is a vector database different? Well, the vector database is the store for taking embeddings and storing them in a manner that you can retrieve any document represented as a vector out of hundreds of millions and potentially billions of those documents that are there. You are able to retrieve them in less than 50 or less than 100 millisecond, right? So that's the beauty of vector database. How does this happen? We explain this idea of vector searches and keyword searches and something that combines the semantic and the keyword searches, all of that. Um, Then we explain this in detail, and not just at a very high level. We get into the algorithms and the data structures that actually are used to make this retrieval efficient, right? So if you go look up, we get into HNSW and all of that. And then, of course, I cannot go through the entire session. We don't have time. But we go through this in a lot of detail. And once we have done this, that is not it. We go into the practical exercises right after this. So if there is, there's an exercise on vector search, and there's an exercise of similarity search, and there's an exercise of hybrid search, and you don't need to worry about, hey, which laptop or what GPU do I need? My IT would not allow me to install anything on my laptop. I have a company laptop. Don't worry about it. Bring in a laptop that has a web browser, and that's it, right? So because we have all these in our online cloud computing labs, let me actually click on this generative search lab. So when I click on this, you can see that it is the same Jupyter notebooks that you would otherwise get or otherwise use locally as well. And when you look at this, I'm going to go through this run step by step. Will give you access to a vector database server. You will create your own vector database. You will create your API key, and we'll give you the you will create your own API key for the vector database. We'll give you the API keys for inference, OpenAI API keys. And then we walk through this process, explain this code. Hey, what do you think is happening here? You are creating a collection of vector embeddings. What does this mean? You're using the ADA model. How do I use GPT-4? Well, GPT-4 is not an embedding model, but let's say you're using the small embedding model or large embedding model by OpenAI, or you want to use Cohere. How do you modify this? You see that this is a generative model that we are using. I'm using GPT-4 Mini. If we go through this step by step, every single thing, we explain this, right? So it is not an exercise on only just giving you the theory side of it. We actually go through this step by step, and it builds slowly, this, then this, then this, and we take this approach. Slowly, we guide you through the process. All of this done. And then you can see most of the topics are there that are relevant. And here we go, right? So we spent like 2.5 hours on the theory side of it, another 2.5 hours on the lab side of it. And by this time, you actually really, really understand what does it mean to have embeddings, and what does it mean to have store the embeddings in a vector database. Okay. Then after that, once that is done, we dive into LangChain. And LangChain is, if you look at it, it is one of the most popular frameworks out there when it comes to um, large language models and generative AI. A lot of development happening, and we take this approach first once we actually explain to you what are the different problems that we are handling in that LangChain can actually help in, connect into different data sources, reading different data types. Your data could be in a cloud storage, it could be local, it could be in a SQL server. Your data could be an Excel file, a PDF, CSV. How do you handle all of that, right? So we talk about all of that. Each lab, how do you create prompt templates? You click on it, we walk through the lab. We spend about 8 hours just on LangChain. Totally. In all, we spend about 8 hours. We talk about chains. How do you build memory? How do you build factor in short-term memory? And now there's a concept of long-term memory that is emerging as well. So how do you build these short-term and longer-term memory into your agentic applications? And then we also talk about these state graphs. How do you build a land graph? Think about this, that Yeah, modern LLM applications, for the lack of a better word, I mean, this has actually emerged within the last 1 year or 1.5 year, right? So it is now mainstream that you are no longer just actually doing a single LLM call. LLMs actually first, let's say I ask my model to ask my application to write a proposal for me, right? So here is the an RFP, create a proposal for me. But then you actually also have a reflection node. So you write it, and there is another a peer review that reviews it. It goes back with feedback is corrected, and then reflection. So those kind of planning, reasoning, reflection type behaviors, land graph, we talk about this. Once again, the labs are there. You can take a look at this. But so we go through how do you create a land graph, how do you set up a retriever there, and how do you add nodes to this graph. You can see that there is this agent state. How do you create nodes and edges? You can see that we are explaining every single thing here. And once again, if you can read Python, uh, if you can read Python, that's all what is needed, and of course some basic understanding of at least an appreciation of what the general understanding of the problem. You understand, you have been working in data space, and that's important. Let me take some questions here. So I see. Amit, you have again this question. You can address the following question toward the end of your session. Okay, so I will probably, maybe I can handle it now since I'm here. Can you please share some suggestion on how should we continue learning and practicing post boot camp? We emphasize a lot, right? So emphasize a lot on this. And one thing is, we have been 10 years in business, but we are not in the business of selling snake oil here, right? So a lot of companies would tell you that, hey, become a data scientist. And I always, I mean, I've been in this space for almost half of my life now, right? So I find this preposterous. I find this actually ridiculous. We are not actually in the business of turning some metamorphosis happening where we took someone and converted them to data scientists or AI engineers. That's not our job. Our job is to give you the right context, inspire you importantly, right? Inspire you in a manner that you find these problems actually exciting, right? So our boot camps tend to be, I mean, go check out our testimonials. I mean, we have hundreds, possibly thousands of people on, like no John Does and Jane Does, actually real people with real LinkedIn. Go and ask anyone. We have maybe more than 1,000 people on our website listed as alumni. And basically, our job is to actually enable you and then give you enough that you at least the biggest challenge that happens in this space is I don't know what I don't know. Um, so where should I start? Uh, how should I structure? Should I learn this first or go to that first? And what is the minimum amount of learning that is needed from in here before I move on to the next topic? Um, so if you look at this, right, so these are not new barriers in learning. What we have done is think of this as a recipe that we have done after this boot camp. We are very confident that you will be able to actually go and figure out what else is needed, because 40 hours is simply not enough to become an expert in anything. Right. Even I mean, even if we were a cooking class, I mean, 40 hours. I mean, what can you do? I mean, perfection happens when we go and do things on our own. To that end, yes, we have a lot of resources. You have access to our learning platform. We have more sessions, more talks. If there is a new invited speaker to our boot camp, everyone who has attended in the past, they get a Zoom invite. They join us there. We have a lot more, learning. We have sandboxes, more exercises, because We don't finish all the exercises. But more importantly, I think this is for any of you who actually attends the boot camp, you will hear me saying, our job is not to give you the fish. Our job is to teach you how to fish. And this approach has, I mean, I personally taught like more than 8,000 people in our data science boot camp, and now a few hundred people in this large language models boot camp. And we emphasize on having that ability to understand and ask the right questions. We cannot give you all the answers, but we enable you how you can ask the right questions. And the follow-up question on this, Amit, in the same flow was, does Data Science Dojo provide infrastructure, dev environment for post-learning, for learning post-bootcamp? Yes. So you will have access to all of these labs even after the bootcamp ends for 1 year. And 1 year is, I'm bound to tell you, for legal reasons. I mean, we have never cut anyone off, but contractually, it is 1 year. But people have had access to this for several years, and we don't cut them off because, well, it is, we have a fixed cost of this infrastructure. And but I mean, you have any updates that we do, if something brand new, shiny happens, we try to update within a few weeks of this. We are playing catch up, actually. So anything new happens, you can always come back and, hey, new topics, go and click the lab, and then you can actually run the lab. And of course, this is running in our infrastructure, and we'll support you on that. Let me go back and try to finish. I think it is already 11:37 on my end. So where were we? LangChain, I've talked about it. Then we actually talk about the challenges in building a retrieval augmented generation application, right? So we talk about all sorts of challenges, from ingestion to scalability to, how do you chunk? I mean, bigger chunks, smaller chunks, model context windows. How do you set up the architecture? How do you set up guardrails on it? Which embedding model do you use in terms, do you do query alteration or not? I can keep going. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, I absolutely enjoy teaching the bootcamp as well, because I learn from people as well. People coming from different industries, different backgrounds, and very often people have other things. We actually, a few people um, who we get are the ones who have already started building this internally, but they realize that, I mean, there are things that are missing, so they come in with their holes, the gaps in their knowledge, and then they actually keep us honest and keep us humble, right? So, I mean, hey, Raja, we tried this does not work. So it's a very I would like to think that we get very interesting business perspective, legal and compliance perspective, and so on. So we get very good balance of viewpoints, actually, from all directions, both in person and online, right? So online attendees are actually as involved as in person. So we have this classroom where we have this 360 cameras in the center, so everyone can see everyone else, both online and in person. uh, um, then the next thing is, I will go back to the curriculum. We talk about the observability and guardrails. We talk about, how do you monitor your application? How do you make sure that your application, you are logging the events and happenings correctly, the time it took, how many tokens were consumed, in what order things were called, when did retrieval happen, when did inference happen, all of that. We talk about that again with practical exercises. We get into fine tuning as well. In fine tuning, I can maybe double click on this. In fine tuning, when you get inside fine tuning, we talk about you know, overall, let me see, where is our fine tuning? Yeah, this one is our main module. So we talk about fine tuning as well, and we start with transfer learning. we talk about transfer learning. We talk about the difference between transfer learning and fine tuning. What are base models? What are instruction fine tune models and all of that. So we talk about all of those things. Then I will fast forward. We talk about full fine tuning, optimization strategies. LoRa and quantization, low rank adaptation, and quantization strategies. You're compressing the model so you don't need as much of a compute that is needed. So we talk about all of that. We explain all the ideas, right? So we just don't. We simply. It's not. I mean, it sucks fun out of it if we say, hey, there is such a thing called quantization, and you compress your from a floating point to a I don't know 8-bit integer, right? That's not fun. We actually explain it, and then once you're done with this, we have these exercises, and now we have a separate exercise where we actually teach people how to fine tune a 4-bit quantized 7 billion parameter a 7 billion parameter Llama 2 model. We are still at Llama 2, but we go through it. We give you that notebook. We give you the fine tuning data set. And then we also go to RunPod. RunPod think of that as a GPU cloud on demand. We give you access to RunPod. Give you the instructions. I think instructions should be somewhere over here. So if you look at this, you get be used. Let me see, fine-tuning LLMs. These are not resources. Let me see. This is the lab. Okay. So if you look at this, we have this exercise. We teach you. We give you credit, by the way. You get credit on your in that GPU cloud. We show you the steps. Then we go to downloadable resources. We give you the notebook. This is a notebook that you will go and use. I think it got downloaded. Let me actually open file and notepad. So I don't use this computer for my coding, but you can see, okay, this is a IPYNB. It's a Python notebook, but we give you the code with all dependencies and everything, and then we give you the data set, and then you go and fine tune the model. We discuss, we ask the same question, go to the model that was before fine tuning and before and after. We compare the answers and we develop that intuition why fine tuning actually is. When it will work and what would be the challenges when you're building a fine-tuned model. Then we go into evaluation. Similarly, let me double click here in evaluation. It is not just a very high level superficial treatment of evaluation. We actually get into a very detailed understanding of why evaluation is hard. We start with that, develop that intuition. Why is evaluation difficult? Then we talk about what do you need to evaluate? You need, evaluation is task specific. Are you evaluating on a natural language understanding task or a text generation task, or what kind of task it is? And then we introduce you to all the data sets that are there for evaluation. You can see when would you use which data set. And then we talk about some benchmarks. We explain some of the traditional language translation benchmarks. And once again, I do not want this to appear as, hey, I mean, this is too much stuff. I cannot get it. We have had people who did not even come from a software engineering background. Even they were able to actually finish and understand the material successfully. Because I think a lot of these things are not as difficult as they appear to be. It's generally it is how we approach them, right? So what problem are they solving? If you understand the problem, these topics will start making sense a whole lot more. So we talk about these traditional machine learning, machine translation type metrics. We start with them. We slowly go to more semantic semantic approaches to evaluation. And then we go all the way to this thing called RAGUS, and we explain that in RAGUS, you have multiple ways of evaluation, that you're not only evaluating how well your model is performing, you're also evaluating how well your retrieval is performing, how well you are, how good your um, retrieval performance, how well you are recalling all the data. And then after that, we go and do the same thing, right? So click on this notebook, um, and then I can high level tell you Ragus is for evaluating a retrieval augmented generation application. Then Rouge is for more machine translation type. Blue, Rouge, and Meteor, they are more keyword or lexical similarity evaluation metrics. GEval is when you have one model evaluating another, one LLM evaluating another LLM. BERT score is once again, it's a semantic measure, but we'll spend more time on Ragus-based metrics because that is more relevant in our context when you're building a RAG pipeline. But if you look at this, we talk about loading and texting, updating document and metadata, creating embeddings. We go through this, run this cell, okay, this happened, go to the next cell, this happened. And then we actually go and explain this, right? So right here, we are showing you exactly how things are done. Okay. And on the last day, toward the last 3 to 4 hours of the boot camp, we actually give everyone this, a project. And the project is, once again, you have clear instructions. We have set things up because time is limited. So we give you a dev environment setup. Everyone gets a virtual machine in the cloud. We go and give you logins. You log into the that VM. You don't have to be a coder. We have set things up. And everyone actually goes and builds their own, and I can call it a chatbot. I mean, maybe a glorified chatbot that also can access and reason, that can access perhaps search index. It can hit Wikipedia. It can also do a Google or Bing search, and so on. So those kind of things, we do it and by the end of this, I mean, you understand it end to end. So as I said earlier, fairly detailed treatment. I don't think anyone else. I mean, we are the first bootcamp in industry as far as being the first, and also no one is actually going to that level of detail. I'm very confident that if you want to build these applications, you will be able to actually get started with building these applications. Um, After attending the boot camp. You can be a product manager, you can be a people manager. We have had dev managers attend this. We have also had people who just said, I mean, I'm curious, and still you can see that even if you're not a coder, running these labs, it's not very hard for you. So you can still get a lot out of it. People who did not know coding, I don't want to oversell this, but people who did not know coding, I mean, this being able to run this, that's not a problem, right? So, you can run it and make sense out of it. Okay, this is the step, and we talk about during the bootcamp, we explain all the cells. So, I mean, there have been people who are not particularly coders, but they did just fine. So if you're a product manager, a technical product manager who wants to guide products, in this case, if you are a technical product manager who wants to venture into the LLM or Gen AI space, this is the bootcamp for you, because you cannot guide a product that is safe and compliant and is scalable and meets customer needs unless you know what are the challenges. And we go through those challenges in a lot of detail. With that, I'm going to actually go back and see if there are any more questions, right? So Amit, you are a PhD student at Purdue. Are there any discounts? Amit, why don't you drop us a note and I would like to make it work, right? So just drop a note and would love to have you. Then we have, I think there was a question when you are unable to attend the boot camp on April 7th. Who was it? One, you are unable to attend the boot camp on April 7th. So I was told by our staff that the next one is happening in June, right? So after that, we have another boot camp from June 9th to 13th. I don't know if it is up on the website yet, but you can actually, uh, but we will reach out to you, right? So let's see. And there was another question. So Leon from Twitter asked this question. I joined late. How much is the boot camp? So the boot camp, I do not know what the price is. The price changes. Usually, the full price of the boot camp is $5,000. That includes everything, all the infrastructure cost, access to the learning resources for 1 year, the GPU cloud during the boot camp, the OpenAI keys during the boot camp. I will emphasize, to make sure that it is not a GPU cloud, not for the entire year, but all the learning resources online, the notebooks and etc. You have access to this for 1 year. Then OpenAI keys, pretty much everything is covered. If you are in person, you're in Seattle, then your meals and your breakfast, lunch, and other things that are covered in this in the fee. The discounts actually vary. You may have. I think we go as far as 30% when we start, and as the seats start filling up, the discounts actually move. And right now, I think we are at 20% discount, so the price should be around $4,000 at the moment. Okay, are there any other? Okay, sounds good. Any other questions? Anyone? I'm happy to show anything else that we have. I know it's a lot to absorb in an information session, but I think what we take pride in is we are not here. This is not your typical information session where, we'll tell you what we will do and then you don't get to see it. You are actually seeing what we have, right? So, I think this is as transparent as it can get. I think I did not mention that the people who teach at the bootcamp, they also happen to be the top people. Let me see, where is our list of instructors. So this is the technology stack that we will be using. You see some of the technologies that you can expect to be seeing. Let me actually see. So I can confirm. Let me go very quickly. Where is the instructors? Oh, I forgot to mention actually. This is an important point. So uh, um, um, we are partnered with the University of New Mexico and you get a verified certificate from the University of New Mexico as a result of this bootcamp. And if you work for many companies, if you are getting a certificate, yes, we are offering the certificate at Data Science Dojo, but it is offered in association with the University of New Mexico Continuing Education. As a result of this, you may want to check with your benefits, and very likely that your benefits actually cover the boot camp. For many companies, notably in the last boot camp. For many companies, I think last boot camp we had someone from Apple fully covered by their benefits, right? So it's like getting health insurance from your company. So you don't have to get approval. Every company has this central, benefits type L&D budget. So if you are not sure, reach out to us. We can actually help you guide it. Go check it out. Very likely your company will actually reimburse you for the training just because of the fact that it is coming from an accredited university in the United States. Okay. Uh, Let me see. And Deborah, let me come back to your question. So these are the companies that we know for sure, but there are many more. We know there are many more who actually cover the tuition as is. I mean, if you attend the training, you should be able to attend the training for sure. So the next boot camp, I will be there. I'm one of the lead instructors. Luis will be there. John is going to be there. Sebastian is going to be there. Sage is going to be there. I don't see Karthik. Okay. But so this is all the instructors that we have. And then they keep rotating because of the fact that, we are, well, not all of them are available. Finding instructors for this bootcamp is not very easy because our condition is pretty strict here. Anyone who teaches at our bootcamp, they must be practitioners. They are not someone who just happens to know the theory part of it. They are actual practitioners, right? So our alumni network, I mean, so many people hear from our partners. I mean, what they say about us. I mean, the past companies, a lot of companies have attended our training. More than 3,500 people have attended from our training, and this is our next boot camp. And I think that should be it. And one of the questions, Brad, your question is it the same fee structure for both online and campus versions? Yes, that is the case. Um, it is the same fee actually, because of we have our costs and overhead on, of course, the support and other sides of it. But please feel free to reach out, and we'll help you. Not sure what company you work for, but perhaps your company might be actually the bootcamp may be covered by your tuition. There is another question. Okay, I think this is the same question. Okay. Um, are there any other questions, anyone? Okay, that is great. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. And I look forward to seeing some of you at the bootcamp. Thank you so much. Thanks, Amit and Deborah, for the note. Thanks.